Live. I am your host, Mark Wiggins, and today I'm excited. Y'all. I have an international Reverend Doctor, publisher, author, creator, editor, publicist, whatever she does with books and words. This is the one. I have Natasha T Brown with me, and if you followed along with me before, she's been on our show before. Definitely, you've been in my core speaker training class. She came on and talked about publishing and books, and this again another resource out there. So for anybody looking to produce said book, and get that thing out there, Natasha's who you want to talk to. If you need to tell somebody to help you get your speech and words together, I'm the one to talk to. All right, come hit me up. But anyway, Natasha, we are on today to talk about your new release book. So please bring us up to speed of who you are, what you've been doing, so my audience can know what's going on, because I don't do bios.
Thank you so much, Mark, for having me. I am so excited to be here. I love talking with you. You're such an amazing host. And this is a really awesome podcast. So I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, so I am Natasha T Brown. And as you said, I'm an author, a publisher, a Bible teacher, a missionary. And right when COVID hit, I came home from a 6-month mission trip to Tanzania, East Africa. So I wrote this new book, and here it goes right here. It's called The Absence of Excess: Stories on Cultural Immersion, Godly Love, and Living Surrendered from a Black American Missionary in Africa. And the book really takes you through a spiritual journey. And, it's about missions. It's about the people in the village where I spent the time. It's about God's love and how he kind of showed that love through those people in the village, and kind of, the encounters that I had, which really led to a lot of spiritual lessons and reflections. So, it's not a memoir and that just talks about me and my experiences. It really turns it around on the reader to really help you think about your faith, your walk with God. Can you live as a missional person where you are? Will you go to a culture that has less? Can you live without your everyday luxuries, like, your microwave, your wash machine, sometimes even water, like running water, electricity? Can you live without those things? And what happens when you take a person from the Western world, drop them in the middle of a village in rural Africa? And so in that process of going through this journey, it really does make us reflect as readers. So we're reflecting on things such as our excess, and also the spiritual and emotional baggage that we take from season to season. We're reflecting on the economy in our lives as entrepreneurs, and, are we doing what we should do as entrepreneurs? Like, what is our motivation? One of the things that happened with me is seeing the level of poverty and the opportunities to make a difference really made me want to come back home and go all in with my business. It made me want to come back home and do as much as possible to help raise money and to earn money so that I could be one of those who contributes, building schools and water wells and things like that. There's a chapter called Unexpected Knocks that I really like, and it talks about being available to God when he interrupts us. We make our plans, right? We have these plans, we live by Google calendars, but one of the first lessons that I learned in Tanzania, in the village, is nobody there in East Africa, they don't go by timelines and clocks and calendars. No, they are more of an event-driven society. So you can say, okay, we have a meeting at 11, and it could be 11. And let's just say the person you're meeting with, they're walking to your house, but then they see their neighbor on the road at 10:55 that needs a hand with groceries. They're not going to tell their neighbor, hey, I have an 11 o'clock meeting. No, they're going to go and help their neighbor take their groceries, and then they're going to come to you at 11:15. So it's about really surrendering. So the book really helps us to surrender to God in the many ways that he approaches us each day.
Okay, that's a lot. First of all, I'm fussing because in all your titles, I don't think I've ever saw a missionary in there. And that explains why I didn't see you online or whatever, because you were over in Africa doing the
Mhm,
mission work. That's
mhm.
amazing. So how did you end up, let's roll back before we get into the meat of the book. Tell me how you connected to even get to Africa. What sent you that way besides God leading you there? What connected you to send you that direction?
Yeah, so I just finished in 2019 a Master of Divinity graduate degree.
Okay,
And
congratulations.
thank you. So as I was in seminary, and while I was in seminary, I went to Israel one year. And being in Israel really just kind of started to break my heart for people who don't know the gospel, people who really aren't familiar with the life of Jesus. And it broke my heart because they're so close to where the Bible takes place, where Jesus walked, but yet many people in Israel still don't believe in Jesus as Messiah, or they don't even realize that the Messiah that they're still waiting on has already come. And that broke my heart. At the same time, I was, taking a lot of missions courses, and I found out, well, I won't say a lot, a few missions courses, and I found out that, only a small percentage of Christians go to other countries to serve. And of those that serve as missionaries in other countries, only 3% go to closed countries, meaning countries that are closed to the gospel. So immediately I was like, I need to go. And Israel is one of those countries. And so initially I wanted to go there, and I wanted to go to Asia and really just, be a missionary through business, what's called business is mission. And as my last year in school, the Lord just began to speak to me more about discipleship and show me that, I'm more of a teacher in this space. Like, even though I am a business owner in the kingdom of God, I've been called to teach, evangelize, things like that in discipleship. So I started to look for opportunities that would allow me to teach, that would allow me to do discipleship, and to walk alongside believers in another country that may not have all the resources that I was exposed to. And so that led me to my particular mission agency. It was a long process, a year, that until I really kind of was brave enough to say, okay, I'm ready. And so, yeah.
That must have been a huge step. So as you're leaving the comforts and creature comforts of home, of the Western world, as you called it, and you're taking off from, I don't know if you left out of Dulles or wherever, and you're flying over this, and you land in Africa, what is the first thought when you get to where you're supposed to go?
I was like, oh my gosh, what have I got myself into? And I write about that experience because, my first stop in Africa was in Nairobi. And in Nairobi, like right before I landed, this is in the book, I almost had an anxiety attack because I heard this announcement about how they don't allow plastic bags in the country. And if you're caught with plastic grocery bags, you can go to jail or get fined. I think it's up to $32,000. So I started to panic, like, oh my gosh, do I have any plastic grocery bags? Now, I knew this rule before I left. I had what I say deplasticized my suitcase, my luggage, but I put everything in like these zipper, like freezer bags. So then I started to question, okay, do these freezer bags count as plastic grocery bags? And I'm like, what if I go to jail? What if they fine me all this money? What am I going to do? And so I freaked out. And so I spent a few days in Nairobi, and then I went to Tanzania. And when I got in Tanzania, I was like kind of no direction, no sense of direction. I looked around. Everyone is just walking. They knew exactly where to go. I'm like on this airfield on the runway, like, okay, where do I go? Because I got off. I was like on this little jet, got off, and I'm like, okay, where do I go? What do I do? And I almost got held up at the border. So I write about all of this in the book. It was such a crazy experience. Even me getting there, God showed me so many things. And so the introduction in chapter 1 of the book is all about that sort of journey there.
Wow. Now, did you have a POC on the ground, or they didn't just drop you and say, I will holler at you in 6 months? Did you have somebody there?
Yes. So I went with so I'm a part of a mission organization.
Okay.
And there, I have some team leaders who have been living in Tanzania, a couple and a family. They've been living in Tanzania for several years. So they had driven from the village to where, you know, the airport, which is about an hour and a half away. And so they had driven there to come and get me. But the problem was I almost got held up at the border because I didn't have the proper shots.
Oof.
Yes, they could have told me to go home. But luckily, the organization that I was with and also the denomination in Africa that I was serving with, they have like high clout there. So they had already written letters for me. They had like the people at the airport knew them. It was God, honestly, the grace of God.
Right.
But they were like, and then they were like, you can pay $500 to get the shot here. And I'm like, I'm not paying $500. Like, and I was like, just trying to, you know, not sweet talking a bad way, trying to like sweet talk the guy. And I was like, come on now, I'm a missionary. This is my first time in Africa. I don't know what's going on. And, you know, finally, once he realized he couldn't really bribe me into paying that money, he let me go.
Wow. Oh, that is crazy. That's crazy. So now, and now I know you probably write about this in the book. I'm sure it's in there. When you get to the village, all right, now you've moved level A to Africa, level B to Nairobi, level C. Now we're into where you're supposed to be. How did they treat you? How you received in the community when you got there?
Oh my gosh. First of all, the people there were so amazing. And so a lot of what I had to write about was the people. When I got there, we pulled up and we're like driving through this village in the dirt and on this dirt road. Everyone is standing outside, like everyone who was in like our little community who was already there, because I served at a Bible college. And so everyone, like the teachers, you know, whoever was already like in the village for school to start, they were there ready and willing to greet me.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. So they were there. They were like waving, hi. And then people came over to the house and helped me take out my luggage out of the truck and get in the house. And then I told someone on the way there that I needed eggs. I couldn't find any at the grocery store. So somebody came and brought me some eggs. They were like, hey, do you want some eggs? We heard you needed eggs. And it's like, they were just so lovable. Like it was crazy. They literally was like, hi. And they call me madam. So they're like, hi, Madam Natasha. And I'm like, oh yeah, I missed this.
So, now you're in there now. So now let's talk about the work that you were there to do, the mission work you were there to do. What were your structures like? Okay, there's no structure. What did you end up doing? Were there services every night? How did you go about the work of God while you were in Tanzania?
So my primary duty was as a theological educator. So I served at a Bible college where I taught different Bible classes, and I also taught English and writing, and I did some after school tutoring to teach more English, and I started a story group to teach evangelism through storytelling. And so I did that, and a lot of it was also discipleship, you know, because one thing about the people in Tanzania, a lot of them will get saved and then they'll immediately go into ministry. So a lot of the work was, you know, working with new believers, like teaching them the Bible and also just like walking alongside of them, praying with people, praying for families, going to people's houses in the village, praying for sick people, encouraging the mothers and the kids. I did some ministry outside of the village and also just in neighboring villages. So I went to an orphanage and I ministered there to those kids, and just ministry, like sharing the word of God, sharing hope, and in addition to teaching classes every day.
That's wow. And then you were for 6 months, you were there. 6 months.
Yeah, so I was there for 3 months first, because initially I was only supposed to be there for 3 months. The mission was from September 1st to December 1st. So I was only supposed to be there for 3 months. As soon as I got there, maybe a few weeks, I just felt like I had to stay longer. And then the Lord just kind of alerted me to some things that were happening that I couldn't see with my naked eyes, but he alerted me to some things spiritually. And so I was kind of on this covert mission for Jesus to sort of like minister and teach about the Holy Spirit and the ministry of the Holy Spirit and spiritual gifts. And so I knew I had to stay longer. So I came home because I couldn't get my flights changed to come to, like, they were already booked. And so it would have been too much to try to change them. So I came home for December, and then I went back in January, and then I stayed for pretty much 3 more months, and I came home in March.
Right in time to get locked down. So
yeah, I was supposed to come home in April, but I had to leave a couple of weeks early because the borders were closing because of COVID.
You possibly could have still been there, huh? Or
yeah, if I would have left, I've probably had maybe a 2-day window. Honestly, not even that, because the borders were closing, and you either have to fly through like Canada or Kenya. Canada was closed their border. So my partner, she was there, like she was like a team, one of the ladies on my team, another missionary. She had come from Canada. She had to leave before me. Like she had maybe a 12-hour notice that she had to go because Canada closed down the borders. And so I was going through Kenya, and they had to change my flight. If I would have stayed any longer, I would have gotten stuck in Tanzania on a visa that would have been expired.
Wow. Yeah. The impact of that whole thing literally around the world is just fascinating. And again, nothing but God to get you and those other people in and out where they need to be, and to make way for, the work of God, which is what he do. He make things happen, right? All the time. So now let's talk about the writing of the book. So your writer should come easy to you. What were your thoughts as you put your book together and your journal? We'll get to that in a second. What were the thoughts and you were trying to communicate inside your book?
So I was journaling the whole time that I was there, but as I was journaling, I was literally writing about these experiences, but I was storytelling in my journal. And so I was just like, oh my gosh, I have to tell these stories. And so in November, I was still in Tanzania, and I realized that I had to write a book about this stuff. So I'm like, no one will believe me if I tell them like what's going on. I don't even feel like a lot of my experiences were even conveyed well in the book. I tried my hardest. The book is 212 pages. That's a big book. But it was so hard to convey the experiences, but I knew I had to. So I guess I would write as things would happen. In Tanzania, I would just kind of write as things were happening. And then when I got home, I thought, oh, this will be easy, because my goal was to finish the book by April, by the time I was going to leave. So that when I came home, I can, start back with my publishing company and immediately just publish this book in May. That was my plan. And I didn't do it. It's like I almost couldn't write about it for a long time. When I got home, it was almost like I felt like if I would have wrote, I think it was almost like closing the chapter on that chapter, and I wasn't ready. So it was almost like I stopped working on the book for like 2 or 3 months, and I got really busy with all these other writers, and I just couldn't focus on the book. And then I was like, okay, I missed my deadline. So what's a new deadline for me? And then I realized, okay, maybe I could release it on my birthday. My birthday was August 3rd. And I'm like, okay, June was coming, July was here. And I was like, dang. And I knew I needed to tell my people first. Like I had tons of supporters for the mission that made it possible for me to go. So I wanted to let them know first that the book was coming. And I'm like, I can't release the book unless they know first before everyone else. So that was my plan. And so then I just ended up doing like this announcement on my birthday with my inside people. And then even on my birthday, when I'm talking to all my supporters about the book, I'm like, okay, because I did a surprise announcement. And I'm like, come to my surprise announcement. So people came on Zoom. And even then, I was like, I don't know when the book is coming out. I just know I needed to tell you all that it's coming. And they're like, and I had the ebook on Amazon for pre-sale. And so they all purchased the ebook, pre-ordered it. And they're like, okay, you need to put a date. And I'm like, no, like, I'm not ready. I wasn't ready. And my friend was like, you need to put this book out next month. You need to focus, get the book focused. And I was like, okay, fine. So then I announced it to the world like 2 days later, and I put a date on it, and I was like, it's coming out September 15th. And I worked so hard for 45 days to make sure that it was done. And it was insane, but yeah, it was a challenge.
Well, I'm sure out of that is some great stuff in there. So talk to me about the accompanying journal that goes with it. I read up on that, and what do you want the reader to do with the book and the journal?
Yes, so here's the journal. And the journal is actually full color. It has about 25 full color photos that I took in Tanzania. And it's really a workbook, journal slash workbook. And so at the end of every chapter, and even throughout the chapter, there are these prompts. Sometimes they're prayer prompts. Sometimes they're prompts for someone to write in their journal about these issues that we're discussing in the book. We talk about a lot in the book: marriage, relationships, the economics, spiritual gifts. I mean, it goes like anything you could think of about your life. It probably talks about it. Just many issues. So yeah, the journal is designed so that at the end of every chapter, you can go to this journal and kind of write your thoughts. And then it actually has every single prompt that's in the book. It's in the journal. And then it also kind of prompts readers to think missionally and actually brainstorm on what that looks like. So there's a vision board in here. There are some spaces for you to write your goals. Also some spaces, a space in here for you to track your self-care, because a lot of times we're serving others, but we're not stopping to take care of ourselves. So there's a place in there that talks about self-care. We talk about spiritual warfare a lot in the book. So this gives us some spiritual warfare, some spaces to sort of strategize and to even think about, how does the enemy attack you? How does the enemy attack you spiritually? Let's document that. Okay, now let's come up with a plan to actually fight back when he comes at you. And so it has a space for that. So the journal slash workbook, it's really very interactive to get you to stop throughout the book, go to the journal, and really reflect.
Yeah, that sounds very interactive. And I'm thinking about, as people are reading the book and have these experiences and trying to connect their own, like you said, their own journey and their own mission wherever they are. Mission is where we are, right? That is your mission field at the moment. And how this book could probably help someone align better what they're trying to get done. So this is a great, great project. I mean, I feel the energy about you writing it up. I can actually see you at the border trying to get through. That's hilarious to me. I can see you not just trying to floss your way through and like, nah. That is what's up. As we wrap down the interview, I'm not ready to wrap down yet. Let me ask this question. Give me the top 1-2 things you learned while you were in Africa, in Tanzania, and 1-2 things you learned when you came back home to settle down, what you're going to do going forward.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that I learned there was that I had not mastered my love walk yet. Like, we talk about love a lot in the United States, and we're like, oh, I love you. We just throw that word around. Oh, I love you. I love you. But actually, love is action. And there, the scriptures came alive for me there, like, because it's so close. One, it is closer in, location wise to the Bible, right? But
Right.
it's also, the village reminds you of the villages that you read about, in the Bible, like, so in the way that they do ministry on foot. Okay, there's some chapters on that, of evangelism and how they do it, how they reach out to people. So I realized that my Christianity was kind of like convenient, which it shouldn't be. Christianity isn't convenient. And so we make it convenient in the Western world. We're so lackadaisical about the things of God. That isn't what God has desired for us. That's not his way. So a lot of the ways that we do things here, it isn't the way that God told us to do them. They lack the purity. Many of the things that we do here lack the purity that God would have us to have in our lives, and even in our walk with him. That we make Christianity convenient. So that's 1. 2, the love walk thing. I thought I had mastered that. I thought that, okay, I love people. Like, it's easy to, like, I can love my enemies, but no, I realized, like, okay, I have to actually work at this thing. You have to actually be intentional about it. And even being intentional about keeping your discipleship walk going. Like, there is so beautiful the way that they live out their faith. They have devotions together as a family. They come at any time of the day. People are welcome to your house. Okay. So you never really have private time unless it's nighttime. Like as early as 7 a.m, you can have somebody at your door. And so being open to receive people, I realized like, okay, I'm not as hospitable as I need to be. It's a lot in this book about being hospitable and welcoming, because you can't really be a great witness for God if you're not hospitable. That is how things are done. You invite people in your home, you have food, you eat together, you break bread together. That is what we read about in the Bible. When Jesus, like if you look at how when Jesus converted people, right? Even Matthew, the tax collector, as soon as Matthew was converted and he became a disciple, he invited Jesus to his house. And guess what happened? Then all of Matthew's sinner friends came, including Pharisees and all these people. They came to and ate too. They came to the dinner and they started criticizing Jesus. Like, how can you eat with sinners? But he opened his home. And that's what happens in Tanzania. Every day of the week, almost, it was an invitation to eat someplace. So I realized, like, I have to master the love walk. Like, we have to master our walk with God, like our love, our ability to be hospitable, our ability to be interrupted, you know what I mean? For a knock at the door. So that was number one. And number two, coming back home, realizing that I have to fight for that. Like I have to fight to maintain the lessons and and not fight as in striving, but fight as in my own self, realizing that I was transformed here and making sure that I remain that way. Even if the culture around me here isn't that way. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. I was wondering if that would be a struggle when you talk about going over and being exposed to something, or we expand it. Once the mind is expanded, it can never return to its normal form. When you come back into basically a conforming society, as though we're free, there's a lot of conformity, right? And then now you say, I don't fit. I already don't fit a little. Now I don't fit a whole lot, because you just seen what hospitality truly, truly is. Compared to what we truly, truly do, and that kind of thing. So I was very interested to hear how you adjust to that and how you stay vigilant now. And I'm sure it changed your whole game of everything from business to whatever. Your whole game has absolutely probably changed.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely not the same. That's why I felt like it was so important for me to write this book, because I need to always have a reference point to that experience. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't think it'll be the last. Like, I am called to the global mission field. So I don't believe that that'll be our last experience. It's just, tapping the iceberg. But those people, it was like God was so intentional. Like, I wanted to take myself to a closed country where people will probably hate me, stone me, you know what I mean, hang me. And God was like, no, daughter, I'm going to take you to this nice little sweet village first so you can get acclimated to international ministry. And then maybe you can go to those other
That's right. You want that heat. And you're like, hold on. Nice.
Like be on the Gaza line, like Gaza Strip, dodging bullets or something. I'm like, God is like, nope. No, girl. Ain't ready for that.
Ain't ready for that. It's not what we do right now. It's not what we're doing. Well, that is amazing. So, Natasha, tell everybody where they can find your book, how they can get a hold of you, and for the rest of your services and things that you offer.
Yeah. So if you visit natashatbrown.com, or if you go to my Instagram page, follow me on Instagram, guys, Natasha T. Brown. The link in my Instagram bio has everything, links to both books in the bundle. And just go there, natashatbrown.com, and you can find everything else about me, about the company. And if you also need help with your own book, that's the place where you can find me also.
That's what's up. Yeah, y'all give her a call, because she don't know fully yet that we work on this new project. I'm working on a new leadership book. I ain't told nobody yet. It's a new leadership book, and my speaker's doing this collaborative book. So we're coming to you to lay that out. So we'll definitely be in touch. So thank you for coming on and sharing your mission with us and your vision and your passion. And I hope everybody is moved to go buy the book. Y'all go get this book and read on it. And also make sure you like and subscribe to this podcast. Share it to everybody. This is a great word. A lot of great podcasts. Natasha, I'm coming up on 100 episodes. Not sure what I'm going to do for my 100th yet, but rest assured I'm going to do something on a larger scale. So we'll do that. And is coming down, and definitely make sure you follow me on there. So with that, I'll leave you with this, everybody. As you know, if you can reach your dreams with a step ladder, then they're probably too low.